Everyone. My name is Krishnan Arora. I'm a partner with Grant Thornton. On behalf of Grant Thornton, I welcome you all and thank you for taking out time today to join our webinar on e-invoicing solution and some of the key aspects that one needs to be mindful of in relation to preparation and implementation of this huge change. Today, I'm joined by my colleagues, P.S. Krishnan, who's a partner with us, and Parikshit Jain, an associate director with us, who would talk about our solution in detail in a short while from now. So basically, in the 37th GST Council meeting in September 2019, GST Council approved the introduction of e-invoicing in a phase-wise manner for reporting B2B invoices to the GST system. After that, in pursuance to that, it was made compulsory in the first phase. It became optional in the first phase from 1st January for people who were above 100 crores of turnover and businesses who were crossing that limit in the last year it was optional for them to start doing the invoicing from 1st of January. Subsequently, the change happened, and from 1st October now, the e-invoicing has been made mandatory for all SSEs who have had turnover of 500 crore and above, aggregate turnover of 500 crore and above, and that those people are now mandatorily required to issue e-invoices. Now, what was the need of issuing this new system of e-invoicing? There was a need which was felt by the government to introduce e-invoicing because there was no standard format for invoices. All companies were following their own formats. The information was being presented in with specific fields which were required to be put, but in their own formats by different companies in their own manner, as per their own ERPs. So one was that the standardization was required to report the invoices in a more standardized format, and the same was then finalized after due consultation between the industry bodies, trade, and even after the recommendation of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. The second reason of keeping this format and introducing e-invoicing in a country like ours was with the digitization taking place, and with the initiative by the government of Digital India, there was a need that all these invoices or should be all documents should be easily accessible by a click of a button by scanning the same on a machine. So machine readability and ease of interpretation of the invoice at a particular point of place or time was something which was felt as an essential requirement for the government to have different stakeholders to access the invoice, or the government itself, or any officers during the movement of goods to any assessment, to any requirement which was required by any stakeholder. So this invoice would be then visible on a click of a button with all the details of the invoice being available for such people at that point of time. Apart from that, the information also was required to get auto-populated, while the initial thought and the plan of the government was that the invoices will be automatically matched for the purpose of credit between the seller and the buyer on the GST portal itself. So by introduction of GSTR 1, 2, and 3, but as we all know, GSTR 2 and 3 could not be introduced by the government, and there was a makeshift arrangement by introduction of a summary return in the form of GSTR 3B along with GSTR 1, which is the supply return. Only those two returns were being filed by all the SSEs as a mandatory requirement on the GST portal, which basically meant that people were doing provisional assessment for themselves for the purpose of reporting their transactions as well as availment of credit. So there was actually a need for a standard format which was put across, where the information will move from that invoice as soon as it gets uploaded into the system. The information gets reported in the purchase data of the buyer as well. It also would feed into the part A of the e-way bill, and those two things will happen automatically after one e-invoice is uploaded and gets approved by the government. Now, the system basically has, is based upon a feature that all the invoices are to be reported. I'm talking about the B2B invoices are to be reported into the GST system. This is not on GSTN. It is on the NIC portal, which has been designed for e-invoicing, and the portal is called Invoice Registration Portal, IRP. This portal basically envisages uploading of the invoice by the SSEs, and once the information is validated to be correct in form of the information which is mandatorily required to be submitted on the portal as part of the invoice. So it be GSTN number of the supplier and the recipient, the address, the PIN code, the value of the invoice, the HSN classification, etc. All the fields which are mandatorily required are to be put in the system, and only if the invoice is treated to be valid by the IRP portal will it do the following steps. The first step being that it will validate and then issue a unique invoice reference number for each invoice which is uploaded onto this portal. Invoice reference number is a number which is basically a unique number to each of the invoices. It is system generated by the IRP. So this is the first thing which will be given by the IRP once the invoice is treated to be valid in all respects. The IRN basically is a hash algorithm. It's unique for every invoice, whether it's a tax invoice or a debit note or a credit note, which is a mandatory requirement on the portal. It's based on 64 characters. Characters are basically alphanumeric and special characters. Comprises of 3 parameters, primarily being the GST number of the supplier, the supplier's document number, that is the invoice number, and the financial year to which it pertains to. So these are the fields of the IRN which will automatically be put in once the invoice is treated to be valid. So this will be done only for B2B invoices by the portal. For B2C transactions, this mandatory requirement is not there. However, if your turnover has a combination of B2B plus B2C transactions, then the B2B invoices are mandatory to be uploaded onto the portal through the IRP and has to be validated. But for the purpose of B2C, the IRP portal does not need validation for the such invoices. Such invoices, the details are to be uploaded or have to be kept with the supplier for themselves, and the invoices are to be issued in a normal manner without getting a IRN number. However, the second requirement is common to both, which is the issuance of a quick response code. This is also going to be issued along with the IRN by the IRP. So these two things will come together when the invoice is treated to be valid invoice from the IRP portal. So the IRN along with the QR code. So basically QR code is nothing but a 2-dimensional barcode which is applied to the information to make it readable in any machine which can scan it. So at a scan, of a button, or if you scan it to a device, this information which is contained in the IRN and the details of the invoice are captured in the QR code, and that QR code basically can be readable. It basically makes the invoice readable with the details of the supplier information, GSTN, recipient details, invoice date, invoice value, the recipient location, etc. So all of these details which are covered by the invoice and the IRN itself are going to be presented in the QR code as well. So for B2B, IRN and QR code are mandatorily required to be put into the invoice. Only then the invoice will be treated to be a valid invoice. Otherwise, that invoice will not be accepted. It will get rejected. And if the details of the invoice are not there and these two checks are not made by the IRP, the invoice will not be treated to be a valid invoice for the purpose of GST. As far as B2C transactions are concerned, this requirement of uploading is, as I mentioned, is not required. Only a QR code has to be generated, and that can be done by the assessee or the supplier themselves. But they have to do this QR code, design as well as uploading onto the invoice themselves. That's a requirement for the suppliers to do that by themselves and not by the IRP. So all these things basically ultimately result in one-time reporting of the B2B data to avoid any duplication of efforts. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, the reason of us going digital, the reason of a standardized format, ultimately, what will be the objective which the government ultimately wants to achieve? So this basically becomes very relevant in today's situation, where we see that a lot of fake invoices, a lot of fake transactions got reported in the last 2.5 years, and there was a lot of loss which was actually borne by the government on account of this in the last 2.5 years of from since the time GST was introduced. In fact, in the last 3 years, India actually, just to share numbers, almost 48,000 crores of money was actually lost in tax evasion in the month April to December 2018. That's the kind of magnitude of loss which was incurred. And you can imagine almost 30 to 40% of the revenues were lost only because of the transactions not being reported properly on the portal, the system of matching not being there automatically on the portal, and the invoices which were issued were not getting verified by any agency as and when the uploading was happening and the information was getting submitted in the GSTR 3B and the GSTR 1. That being the case, and what was felt was that ultimately issuing of invoice will ultimately start the chain which will get reported transparently. System level matching of data will happen automatically from the seller to the buyer, as well as the movement of goods in the e-way bill, which is going to be happening in the part A. Also, it will eliminate any fake invoices or any possibility of tax evasion to that manner, and that is something which is going to be the measure of success for the government and the primary objective to have an e-invoicing system in place for everyone. While on 1st of October this will be made mandatory only for assessees above 500 crore, but it's a matter of time that others will follow. So any assessee which is has reported turnover of 100 crore to 500 crore in the previous year will ultimately get covered as well, because that is the legal requirement for them as well. And it's a matter of time that they will also become part of the invoicing mandatory requirement in times to come. And that time to come will happen very soon if the first deadline is met for the people who are covered under the first phase of 500 crore and above. This will also result in better tax compliance management system. Sale and purchase data will be auto-populated. The need for assessment to manual intervention will also get eliminated, and there will be substantial reduction in the input tax credit verification, which will ultimately benefit not only the government, also the assessees to legitimately claim and not be harassed by the any tax agencies at the time of any audits which are done by the department at a later point of time. There are different modes prescribed for the purpose of creation of e-invoice. It could be web-based platforms. It could be by way of APIs, where the system is integrated in such a manner that you are able to access the NIC portal, which is the IRP portal, directly from your system through a intermediary or a GSP. It could be a mobile-based app. There are offline tools which are provided, or there could be system upload by way of an external file transfer. So there are different modes which are allowed under the current system, depending upon the readiness, depending upon the ERP flexibility of the taxpayers or the suppliers, and depending upon that, the choice can be made. But the objective is to have the standard invoicing system applicable as a uniform measure from 1st of October. Next slide, please. We've already discussed the roadmap, which I mentioned, but I think what is important here is that this is something which is now happening in reality. So everybody has to be prepared for being part of it once your turnover has crossed 500 crore to start with. For others also, it will soon to be followed. So it is a matter of time that the preparedness of the second phase of the system will also happen, and government will be very keen to implement it, because the whole ecosystem ultimately has to come under the invoicing, and ultimately elimination of manual invoicing has to be a mandatory imperative requirement, which is going to be a success measure of the higher revenue collection and the regulatory and transparency requirements to be absolutely met by the government in terms of a standardized system. Next slide, please. Even globally, as you can see from this slide, e-invoicing has been made mandatory by many countries. So long, as long as back in 2001, when voluntarily Chile went in introduced e-invoicing, almost 98% of their businesses are part of mandatory requirement of e-invoicing. A country like China, which is already reaching, by 2022, it will have about 44.5 billion invoices to be issued on invoice portal of the government. Countries like even in European Unions, way back in 2014, almost 50% organizations had already been part of it, and soon to follow in other countries wherever invoicing is now being made mandatory. But I think that is the future of compliance. That is the future of a VAT, a good VAT system which is transparent, self-sufficient, and ultimately the result of this is going to be a benefit to the government in terms of being absolutely on the same platform for the purpose of any review. Also, the primary focus of the government obviously has been that there should be no tax evasion because of any system which is not meeting that requirement on a standardized basis. Just to take an example, like countries like Chile and Mexico, the VAT gap was almost reduced by 50% after reducing the or introducing e-invoicing. I mentioned about the fact that India lost so much money, almost 48,000 crores of money in tax evasion, just because their system was not having a transparent system to report all the transactions by way of a standardized invoice. And in the beginning, it was when GST was introduced, it was basically assessed that almost 42 billion invoices annually will be reported in the GST portal. So you can imagine the kind of volume and the magnitude which we are actually in for, and the kind of ecosystem and the system design which ultimately government is actually introducing to make this a success. Because the volume and the data was also, this is something which was a challenge which was felt at the time of GST implementation as well. But the government is very confident to be ready. And once this system is introduced, then in the phase-wise manner, others will also follow in terms of how they will join this bandwagon. Globally, many things are happening on the e-invoicing platform, other than the fact that you are uploading the invoice and getting a validation. There are customized templates which are available, e-procurement to archiving of invoices, to supplier information at a click of a button, invoice monitoring, automation, data analytics. All these fields are available to the assessees as well as the government, and that's the kind of compliance which ultimately results in a good tax system for any economy which is growing. And that's probably the need of the hour for India, and that's the reason why we are seeing that there's a lot of push on this to be introduced in this financial year. India has about almost 7,500 GSTs which are above 500 crore turnover. So you can also imagine that India will be one of the largest economies which will be actually following the invoicing mechanism, and it's going to be mandatory for others as well. I have my colleague Krishnan and Parikshit, who will now take you through some of the key features of our tool, as well as talk about the practical aspects of e-invoicing system and how we look at it in terms of preparedness and implementation. Over to you, Krishnan.
Thanks, Krishnan, for that introduction, which was very explanatory and which was very detailed. So, as Krishnan mentioned, the government has come out with a notification which makes it mandatory for e-invoicing to be adopted by all the companies which have exceeded 500 crores with effect from 1st October. Just to step back, already this was made voluntary from 1st of January 2020 for all companies with a turnover of above 100 crores. So effective 1st October, as of today when we are speaking, we all expect that this e-invoicing will be made mandatory for all companies beyond 500 crores. And when we are also going to the market, meeting the clients, we understand that the clients are also taking this seriously, and they are trying to really tie up with some service providers who can provide them a tool to ensure that this compliance is being made without any issues from the system. So in order to do that, we have seen a lot of tools that were in the market. GT also felt the need that this e-invoicing and the technology being in the forefront of GST implementation, GT also felt the need that we'll have to come out with a tool for this e-invoicing module basically. And therefore, we have also worked internally to come out with G-Tax Pro, which is a tool, demo of which will be provided by my colleague Parikshit post my discussion. Before I talk about the basic features of the tool, I would like you to just have a look at the table which says beyond 500 crores, B2B sales, e-invoicing and QR code is to be mandatorily generated from 1st October, unless the government is going to extend this, because it was originally supposed to be made applicable from 1st of April, but due to the pandemic, it was postponed to October 1st. And for B2C sales, QR code is to be generated mandatorily. And for 500 crores and below, it is currently voluntary, and we expect it to be made mandatory in a phased manner, which may go up from for all clients beyond 100 crores. So this is the current thing, and there is also exceptions in terms of generation of the e-invoicing and QR code. Basically, the IRN number and the QR code need not be generated by an SEZ unit, by insurers, banking company, financial institutions, including NBFC, GTA, and passenger transportation service, and cinema theaters, where this entertainment industry, where you are getting tickets for admission for cinema theaters. So these are all some of the exceptions that have been provided in the notification. These people need not comply with the e-invoicing requirement. So before I go on to the basic features of the tool that is developed by GTax Pro, I would like to just add one more point. When the GST Council introduced the matching concept in the credit, which was already available in VAT, but which was not being enforced in many of the states, that was a big step towards curbing evasion. And we look forward to this e-invoicing to also provide a very, very important data, very important tool to enable the government to ensure that the tax that has to be paid by all the suppliers are properly hitting the government kitty. Of course, this is only a starting point where people with 500 crores and above are asked to, above 500 crores are asked to mandatorily generate the invoices. But in a phased manner, everyone will come in, and in the next 1 year or maybe 18 months from now on, we will see at least 80% of the people in the mandatory requirement phase. With this, next slide, please. I would like to take you through some of the basic features of the tool. So when we were looking at various tools in the market, we felt a need that GT has to come with a tool which has the scalability and which has also got the user-friendly features that are required in any technology tool. We also had our domain expertise coming to the fore when we wanted to develop this tool, and therefore our indirect tax team worked in tandem with the Digitech team to get this tool, and we have had this tool up and running from last month, and we have made a lot of presentations internally as well as with the clients. What we have tried to do in this tool is we have tried to ensure that automation is seamless in terms of the requirements of the e-invoicing portal that has been developed by NIC. And we have also got a back-to-back arrangement with the GSTN to ensure that whatever invoices are hitting our portal is going through the GSTN portal, and on a real-time basis, the invoices are generated and sent to the ERPs of the clients. In the next slide, we will see the basic features, and I will also take you through some of the additional features that have been enabled in the GTax Pro. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So this is a very, very robust and versatile tool which will enable seamless ERP integration with almost all ERPs that are there in the market. My colleague Parikshit will mention about what are all the ERPs that we will be able to really work with in the market, and we have ensured that that tool is versatile enough to cover all the ERPs. And when we are also designing the tool, we also understood that there is a requirement for it to be user friendly. Of course, most of the technology tools these days are user friendly, and we have also ensured that it is very user friendly, and it will be very, very convenient to import, edit, cancel, and also customize the invoices as per the preference of the client and also as per the requirement of the client's ERP. So in such a way, we have designed that the tool will be very user friendly, and it also provides data analytics. The client will have at any given point of time, at the touch of a button, the client will be able to generate what are all the invoices that has been generated through the e-invoicing module, and what is the tax paid, and details of all these things are available through the data analytics. One of the very, very important features that we have given is the email integration facility. We have a GT admin ID through which emails will be generated, and whatever invoice is generated through the portal, and whether it is a success or not is communicated to the client on a real-time basis to the IDs that have been validated in the in our tool, and the client will be able to understand whether the invoice generated is successful. And also it also gives a facility that the client can download the invoice and keep it for their records, or also send it as an email via an email to the recipient or to the required person as they wish. Therefore, this email integration is one of the important features that has come in. The other important thing is, like any other tool, we will be able to manage multiple profiles, multiple GSTNs because of the concept of distinct person. The law requires registration in all the states. If you are a client and if you have a valid user ID and password, you will be able to do and generate invoice for all your registrations. And we have also given the PDF generation feature. The invoice can be generated in PDF and can be sent to the recipients directly, as I already informed. The other important feature is we all know that the notification, the law provides only 24 hours to cancel a e-invoice. There will be a timer which will give you an alarm like an hour to go or 30 minutes to go or 5 minutes to go when there is a requirement to cancel the invoice. Of course, that is only optional one. If this is only a reminder to help you, if any cancellation needs to be done, this alarm will tell you. Beyond that time, the cancellation is not possible. Therefore, we have also set this feature. Next slide, please. The tool provides simplifies the generation of e-invoice as required by the government and the NIC IRP portal. The very, very important feature that we have to talk about is the validation points that we have inbuilt. What we have ensured is we have tried to mirror the validation of IRP when we develop the tool. Therefore, there is a two-step check and balance process where the first step, the tool validates the invoice as to the mandatory fields required by the IRP and the classification, the rate of tax, everything. And so that whatever is getting into the portal from the tool is correct, and also it is validated by the portal. Therefore, we are ensuring the correctness of the invoices generated through the tool, and it also provides the facility of bulk uploading of invoices. There is also a feature to schedule your invoicing, wherein if you want to have a schedule of, say you want to raise an invoice tomorrow or day after, that feature is also available, and it can also be, as I already informed, it can also be customized. And from the this is another important feature in most of the tools that we have seen in the market. We have seen that there is an intervention required to export it to ERP, but this feature enables the invoice to be exported to the ERP of the client as and when it is generated from the IRP. It also gives allows the facility for archiving of the invoices. Plus, we have also added another important feature which gives a maker checker access control. Therefore, if you so desire, you can have someone who prepares the invoice, and before it is sent to the portal, you can also do a check within the tool itself, and you will also be able to see whether the correctness of the invoice is validated before it is going to the portal through the back-to-back arrangement that we have with the GRStream portal. And this is also giving all the data and business validations in one go. So today, what happens in the market is if you even go into a mall, you step in, you would like to see everything. You would like to get the textile, you would like to get electronics, you would like to even get entertainment, everything in one building or under one roof. Similarly, we have also ensured that the tax expertise as well as the e-invoicing generation also happens within one roof, because most of the tools that are in the market are technology based, and ours is a tool which also comes with the expertise of the team that is behind the domain expertise of the indirect tax team that is there in the market. With this, I think I will invite my colleague Parikshit, who has been one of the architects of this tool, to take you through the demo of the e-invoicing tool. And before that, I would like to just touch upon, Parikshit, just one small. I would like to touch upon, as an industry, as we are looking at another say 20 to 22 days to come into the mandatory phase. What is necessary for an industry is to understand your ERP, what is your invoicing landscape, and based on inviting, in some of the cases, your billing system might be different from your accounting system. So depending on your invoicing landscape, the industries have to decide whether we need to go in for an integration or whether we need to have a plug and play model. And that is the first phase of going in for a tool. And the second phase is the system development, that is allowing you to modify the ERP as per the requirement of the portal, and which we will be able to support you in. So in order to also ensure that since the system is requiring only the B2B invoices, what will be the mechanism that we require for the B2C invoices? And all this is coming under the phase 2. The phase 3 will be the integration methodology. A very important aspect here I would like to touch upon is, if there is a need, because we require close to a week to get this integration and this system up and running through your ERP, there is also an option to do a plug and play, and the integration can be done post implementation also when we have the time for that. So these are the phases that the industry looks for, and very, very important aspect that one needs to keep in mind is this law has been evolving, and right from July 17 till today, we have seen the GSTN portal. There have been a lot of glitches that has been faced by the industry as well as the consultants. Plus, the government has also been extending the deadline of compliances as well as your annual returns on a regular basis. But invoicing is a very, very integral part of any taxation law system, particularly indirect taxation law system in the country. And therefore, the government has ensured that NIC is developing this module for the government. And therefore, we feel in our experience that e-invoicing will provide a very, very robust and very quick resolution process for the industries, because that will be a very, very important step for the government to ensure that in a phased manner, the majority of the registrants come into the mandatory e-invoicing requirement. So with this, I would request Parikshit to step in for the demo.
Thanks. Thanks, Krishnan, for the details. So basically, just before we jump into the demo, I just want to quickly touch upon the infrastructure which the government has set up for automation of e-invoicing submissions to the government. So as of today, whatever government has prepared, it's a diligent and a robust infrastructure. What they have provided is an IRP portal, invoice registration portal, where by virtue of which, using the latest technology, they have given certain APIs, application programming interfaces, with which the client systems, who are of course more than 500 crore as per the current regulation, can connect either their systems to those APIs, or they can directly use tools like ours, which we have developed, to upload information to the tool, and our tool on the behalf of the client will submit the information in the desired format. Now, the format which the government has prescribed, it is in the JSON format, which is called JavaScript Object Notification Notation. So in that format, they have described a particular schema, a whole structure in which you have to submit the invoice, and there are approximately 132 fields across the e-invoices schema, which user has to fill. Out of that 132, there are 44 approximately mandatory fields. So with this set of information, either you generate this schema out of your ERP or existing custom solutions, or you can integrate with our GTax Pro tool, by virtue of our open APIs, or you can upload the Excel format, which I'm going to show to you. And then once you upload the data from the IRP to the IRP, the IRP transmits that data to the NIC system and auto-populates the buyer side information for GST returns and the e-way bill part A. So I'll just quickly jump onto the demo part, and then I'll be covering the subsequent slides. So basically, I wanted to show the audience, this is our tool, which we call as GTax Pro, the site. It's a web-based tool. It's called gtaxpro.wcgt.in. So anyone who has to use the services and the tools online has to generate a user ID password, which will be generated by the Grant Thornton Indirect Tax Business team. So once we generate a user ID password for you, you can log in using that. And then you can, once you have received your one-time password, you can go back into the portal and change it. And the password is fully secure. If you once forget your password, then you will not be able to change. We will not be able to change it. So you have to raise a request for resetting the password. Now, second important feature of this tool is, which is actually a requirement, that whenever you are uploading the data on the tool, you have to create the profile for the supplier GSTINs on behalf of which you are uploading or punching the e-invoices. You have to enter a valid supplier GSTIN number, the trader, the legal name, and the username and password which you have generated from the government e-invoice registration portal, because these are the credentials we will be using in order to submit the e-invoices to the IRP. And the entire data communication between our portal and the IRP will be through a secure channel. Now coming to the primary feature, the primary workflow. So basically, at this point, you can select the supplier GSTIN you have entered in the profile section. You can select it and the trade name will get auto-populated, or you can select this option, which is the second option, where you want the supplier GSTIN to be directly fetched from the Excel which you're going to upload. So I'm now quickly jumping onto the Excel, which is prepared and which is a specification for using this tool if you are using an Excel upload feature. So I'll just quickly show you that as per the current GST schema, there are approximately 132 fields which are listed on your screen right now. And out of those 132 fields, 44 are mandatory. So mandatory fields are like, I'll show you this, like supply type code, whether it's a B2B transaction, whether it's a SEZ transaction, it's an export transaction or a deemed export. Then what is the kind of document it is? It is an invoice or a debit note or a credit note. So only these three kinds of document types are currently supported. And then you have your document number, or you can call it the invoice number, and the document date, for which date the invoice is applicable for. So if you are aware, in the latest version of GST schema, version 1.03, they have changed the validation that document date can be of today or yesterday. Before 1.03, the validation was that it can be only of today and yesterday. But after 1.03, they have removed that validation. So you can have any backdated date on the document date. Rest, all the fields which you are seeing over here, there are like the yellow fields which you are seeing are the conditional mandatory fields. Like suppose if you enter preceding document number in any of the invoices, then it will become mandatory for you to enter the preceding document date. Otherwise, everything can be left as blank. So what we have to do is, so there are clients who have couple of options. So now here I'll just switch back to my presentation and show you what are the ways by which you can connect and upload information on GTax Pro. So right now what I was showing to you is a specification of the Excel in which you can populate the data and upload it on the GTax Pro tool. The second most advanced option, which is as per the industry standard as of today, is the open APIs, which are application programmable interfaces, which can be utilized by either any of your ERPs like SAP, like popular ERPs, which I have listed here is SAP, Tally, Oracle, Microsoft, Navision, and etc., or even your custom ERPs. If they are working on the industry standard protocols, then they will be able to connect to the APIs which we have exposed. So these are the two best ways in which you can submit your information to the tool, and the tool will submit that information to the IRP. So the third is the legacy way, where most of the clients used to host SFTP servers on their premises, and then tools like ours used to pull that information and submit to the IRP. That feature also we have kept in case any client has any SFTP infrastructure. We can leverage that. So I'll just go back to the tool. So what exactly is the tool doing in the back end is it is converting that information which you have uploaded, which you are going to upload from the Excel into the JSON schema format. So I have, for the ease of the demo, prepared some data which I have uploaded. Now, this is the upload status screen where you can see, so suppose the sample invoice, the sample Excel which I have uploaded, it has 4 records, out of which you can see we are showing how many have passed and how many have failed. So in this, we are trying to highlight that if there is any validation error in the data which you have prepared, that will automatically get processed, pre-validated before submitting to the IRP portal, and we will show you all the errors. Now in the backend, I have also received an email for the data which I have uploaded and the file identification number 70199. Now if I see certain records must have got added in my portal, so I can go back and check the invoices over here. So if you see, there are certain errors, which each invoice has got generated. So if you see this, there is a total taxable value error which I can see over here. So the primary feature of our tool which I wanted to highlight is that there are certain approximately 40 to 45 GST validations which the GST has prescribed, and amongst that there are certain calculation related validations. For example, the total taxable value at the transaction level or the invoice level should match with the total of the number of items which you have added as per the invoice. So if you see this, the taxable value of this item is 4,51,902.5, right? And at the invoice level, that value is something else. So our tool is automatically recommending that what should be the value. Yeah. So what the tool is showing is that if there is a error associated with any field, it will be in red, and by hovering over it, you can see the error. Or even once you adopt the recommendation which we have given, then you can easily remove those errors and make the invoice submittable to the GST. Another validation which I wanted to show is that there's a lot of stress in the GST validations that the PIN codes and the buyer state codes should belong to the state in which the materials are getting transported or the trade is happening between. So the PIN codes exactly should be of the state of which you have given. So like suppose if I give a invalid PIN code, so if you see the pin code which I have now entered does not belong to the state code 36, which is Telangana. So I have to make an entry of a valid pin code which belongs to that particular state. So all these validations we have already pre-baked into this portal and kept it, and we call it as an enriched layer. So even before you reach to the GST portal, you can validate all the errors over here. Now, once you have rectified all your errors in the failed invoice section, automatically an invoice goes back and reaches to the processed invoice section. So in the processed invoice section, if you see, these are the invoices which we have already generated. There are a couple of invoices which I have already pre-generated IRN and data for that, but I'll try to submit a Now, if you see this invoice, which has a document number of GTBL/101, this has no transaction related errors which our portal have identified. So this becomes a candidate to be submitted to GST. So basically, what I wanted to highlight is that once you submit the data to the GST, you get a GST response in this particular format. Now, if you see this email in my inbox, this is the email which I have received from my tool, but this content of the email is the entire response packet which we have received from the IRP, and it has the unique IRN number which is generated for that particular invoice and the signed invoice, signed QR code. So what has happened is that once I submitted to the GST, the QR code, we got a response from the IRP, and this particular invoice got generated. I'll open a PDF in order to show you that. So what happened is that whatever details I punched through my Excel on the portal, and once I did all the validation error removal, I submitted to the IRP. I received a response from the IRP. The IRP response is, you can also see in multiple formats. We show you the response on the portal. We send you the response on the email. And also we generate a QR code out of that response, which is machine readable. So you can actually scan your phone and use any barcode reader or a QR code reader. Scan this QR code and you will see the information behind this QR code, which is the relevant IRN number, which is the relevant supply GSTN number details, etc. You will be able to see over here. And the other tool which Krishnan mentioned, that we are able to generate a PDF out of it. The PDF has all the relevant information. Also, I want to highlight the PDF is 100% customizable. You can place your company logo as per your specification. So this from the demonstration perspective, we have kept our company logo over here, but this PDF is subject to customization as per the client need. Now, if you see, there is a timer which is clocking besides an IRN generated invoice, which is telling you that this is the amount of time left if you want to cancel it. So like suppose this invoice has 0 hours and 24 minutes, this has 22 minutes. And once you cancel an IRN, then you will see, we will strike out the entire information on the portal like this. So this invoice now is void, it is cancelled. But if you try to cancel an IRN after 24 hours, then you will get a message, cannot cancel IRN, the time has got exceeded. Apart from these features, we also allow users to download Excel from the portal itself directly. And in the downloaded Excel also, we provide you all the relevant information which you are seeing on your screen, like your, the QR code, your IRN generated, etc. Everything is available on the Excel itself. So this is helpful when users wants to work offline on the Excel and then upload it back. So if you see the Excel which you have downloaded is exactly the same format in which you uploaded the data. But along with that, if you see there are certain more additional columns which we have added in the end, like some metadata columns, plus you have your acknowledgement number, acknowledgement date, the generated IRN per invoice for which you have submitted, and the signed invoice and the signed QR code. So all this information is also available for you to download, and you can consume it in any third-party system or any other record keeping information you want to keep. Now, apart from these features, we are also giving some basic MIS reports, which will be definitely keep on evolving, and we will be adding more reports on a recurring basis, where you can see how many number of invoices you have submitted per state and how many are in a failed or past state, right? So you can keep a track how many invoices I am submitting per state, or also you can keep a track of how many invoices for how much number of total invoice value for which you have generated IRN already, right? So like in this case, you have 6,23,000 to 62,38,000 value of total invoices for which you have submitted to the GST portal and generated IRN per supplier GSTN number. So that way you can keep a track of what is the total invoice value or total cess value you have submitted. So those kind of basic drill downs and slicing and dicing is available on the portal. Now, just to highlight the open APIs point which I was mentioning. So these are our APIs which any technical team of your company can understand, and they can easily correlate, because this is as per the industry protocols. So they can plug and play with any ERP system, and we have already created these APIs as per the JSON schema format. So what the ERPs can do is they can generate the JSON in their system, submit to our portal. Our enriched layer will validate all the fields as per the 40 to 45 GST validations, and if there is no error, then the ERP can submit it to the GST portal directly. So if you see, we have created this for SAP. From SAP we are directly submitting the JSON and punching it to the IRP. These APIs are purely secure. You can only access these APIs using your credentials. So for any API call has to first be authenticated from our portal. We generate a token, and then only you can submit any request on this particular portal. So basically, what are the key considerations I wanted to highlight? That and these are the primary factors why such a tool is required. You need a conversion of data into JSON format, which is a very complex and a cumbersome process. Manually, it is very I would say impossible. You need some kind of tool in order to do that. Then once the IRN is generated, it is essential to do record keeping. And of course, there is a mandate that you can't upload duplicate document numbers. So you need to also keep a check that whether the document numbers are duplicate or not. So we also do that we can do that on your behalf. And then features to generate IRN should be incorporated in the accounting software. So ideally, as I showed, you can consume the Excel, or you can directly integrate your ERP, and you can update your ERP systems. So validation of invoice data and QR code. So the PDF which we are generating for you, or you can also have some customizations on your ERP. You can take the signed QR code as the output which we have received from the IRP and generate the QR code in your own system, or you can take the binary stream from our system and just persist it in your application and you can use it as is. Configuration of ERP, changes in the ERP is very essential if you want to do a direct plug and play, which is a very important aspect. Cancellation of invoices, so that is the regulation, that is the compliance, that you have to cancel an invoice within 24 hours. So the feature of showing you the window within which you can cancel, it's very important. And then auto updation of data, the auto updation of data at the buyer side, that automatically happens at the GST side. Then other key compliance regulation is that, you know, only 1,000 items are applicable, are allowed per transaction. So if you go beyond 1,000 line items in an invoice, then we automatically throw you an error, which also the GST portal will throw, and we allow you to rectify that particular error on the portal in one go. So as I showed, these are the essential mandatory fields which is available in the Excel, which we will give it to you. In that Excel, we have all the mandatory fields marked as green. Conditional mandatory fields are marked as yellow. You can refer that. We have also provided in the Excel the sample data, which is as per the GST recommendation, and you know, you can upload it. Going forward, in next couple of weeks, we are also providing the B2C IRN and QR code generation feature, which, as Krishan mentioned earlier, either you can generate it from your own system, but if that feature is not available in your system, then you can also utilize our services to generate the QR code for B2C invoices, which will have the details like supplier GSTIN number, the document date, document number, and also the payment link, which you can pre-configure in the portal, and that payment link will also become part of the B2C QR code. So this is the sample invoice we just showed you. So what do we foresee? So with this information which everyone has gathered in this session, I think there will be a lot of queries in terms of what are the timelines we have, or how much time will it take for us to configure. So I would like to give some information, like suppose if you want to do a direct Excel upload based upload, then it is just a matter of 3 to 4 days. We onboard you, we allow you, we train a certain set of your team. They can start using it, and then you can start generating e-invoices directly from the portal. But if at least ERP integration is required, then at least we foresee a timeline around about a week and a half, which is mandatory, essential, so that both the side of the teams can understand the IT system landscape. So the key challenges are the configuration of ERP in accordance with the requirements of the invoicing system, generation of the JSON, and adequate and upgraded technology and sufficient manpower. So with this, I'll hand it over back to Krishan to take it ahead for further Q&A and panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Parikshit, and thank you, Krishnan, for this elaborate demonstration, as well as identifying some key aspects of the GTAX Pro, as well as the readiness and the preparedness and the practical issues around the invoicing mechanism, and the readiness for, or what are the things which the companies need to actually look at as a first step when they want to go for a solution, or what are the distinct features they should actually get at the click of a button to ensure that they have a smooth compliance for invoicing that can happen. So Parikshit, I was just going through the questions, and I realized that one of the questions came that how do you, if you have multiple currencies in which you are actually issuing invoices, can that be configured into the our tool very easily, or is something which requires some sort of customization?
So as far as currency is concerned, I think the GST schema has a currency column. So where you just need to mention what kind of currency transaction is this. So for us, it is we are agnostic to the currency.
And if it is, and the question was actually specifically for multiple currencies being used in the same invoice, which I don't probably, that's a very normal, that's quite unusual, but if that be the case, then what happens?
No, but I think the currency, then it will be per item. So if there are multiple items or services, then each line item, you have to specify the currency per line item you have billed in the invoice.
Sure, sure. And I think you also rightly mentioned that, with the time which is left on hand, and with this, requirement becoming mandatory for suppliers above 500 crore on 1st of October, there has to be a planned or a phased manner in which, one can look at implementing the invoicing solution with the help of, say, GTax Pro. And that being the case, that if the end-to-end integration cannot be achieved on 1st of October, then we can always do a external upload so that the invoicing starts happening on the very first day. But at the same time, in the second phase, immediately after the first deadline has been met and the compliance has started, at the back end, we start integrating the system in such a way that the ERP starts, doing that invoicing directly from the systems. I think that's something which is very valid. I also had a question for you, Krishnan. You are based out of South, and there is a lot of compliance, and we have understood in North as well. Many players have already been testing this invoicing. They are already ready. What is your sense in terms of the readiness which you've seen for your clients and for companies in that market, and what is their thought in terms of the implementation date of 1st of October?
Right. Right, Krishan. So I'm just taking. I was addressing a panel discussion in South when GST was supposed to be implemented from July 1st of 2017, and this panel discussion was happening somewhere around 15th of June, and the same question came up to me, and I think the history is repeating. The answer that I gave was right from our childhood, we are all people who have been able to prepare for the examination on the penultimate night. That's how we have been. So considering that, even currently, when I look at the market, when I reach out to clients, I see many of the clients are still feeling. Maybe one of the aspect is basically because the GSTN also has been postponing a lot of compliances and also the annual returns. So maybe the industry is expecting another postponement in e-invoicing. Therefore, the readiness, if you ask me, is at around in a scale of maybe 1 to 10, maybe around 3 or 4. That is what I look at today, because many of the clients are still discussing with which tool to go, because definitely technology is required, and many of them have not really made up their mind. Of course, in this particular thing, since April 1st was also earlier told, many clients at that point of time had decided, the big ones have decided and they have gone ahead with the service providers, but I still see a lot of things happening around. Therefore, in that context, one of the features of our tool where you can start generating the invoices on a plug and play model will definitely be one of the USPs for us to really hit the market.
Thanks, Krishnan. I think very validly put. There is a huge amount of change. This is not just a compliance change; it's also a business change, a change of technology, upgradation of ERP. A lot of things are actually required to build in the ecosystem for this compliance to actually take place. And with the current situation where we are in terms of not being able to attend offices, not being physically present at the same place, managing such a large change at the back end while remotely, a lot of things can happen in today's world, but it becomes a large challenge for any company today in this time when they're not able to actually be physically present at one place to do this change along with their IT teams, which may be sitting at another place or at the same place. So rightly said. With that, I also would like to welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Sanjay Gulati, to also share his thoughts on the same thing. Sanjay is group head of GMR Group, Corporate Tax, GST and Litigation. He leads that section in the GMR Group. So we thought that it will be good to hear from him as well on how he perceives his interpretation in terms of the readiness for the industry and what is his expectation on the invoice. Hi Sanjay, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Krishan, and everybody from Grant Thornton. I think you've well stated that this is an important piece of legislative change, I would call it. And at the same time, this brings us that there is a systemic integration of government systems with the business ERPs and business transaction systems. And the readiness is very important from a 360-degree standpoint, that how one looks at it, and what are the basic consequences of this kind of an integration. Every business need to evaluate it, and the entire ecosystem of the business also need to be ready with this kind of a change and transformation. So this is very important, that the supplier, you are interacting with your supplier base, and you have your customer base, and there is a continuous integration, and same time integration of all the businesses within the ecosystem where one operates. That's a very important aspect to be looked into, so that any disconnect between them could impact our flow of transactions and our accounting of transactions. So that's one piece I would like to say that is a very important need at this point in time for evaluation from a business point of view. The second thing is, yes, this kind of an integration and a transparent and free flow information between the government system and validated information exchange with the government system actually leads to a lot of compliance benefits, in terms of that. First of all, whatever transactions are happening, you don't have to now worry to get them validated separately, whether the supplier is the right supplier, he's a compliant supplier, or he's a non-compliant supplier. I think all that get validated, because the supplier's enablement to transact through the e-invoicing would be only when he's compliant, only when he's a valid registered person on the portal, GSTN portal. So that is one assurance, I think, which comes in. And the second assurance which this kind of a electronic integration brings is that the risk of claiming an ITC has been tremendous for the industry, because each time the invoices what you receive, you are not sure of whether those are valid invoices, taxes have been discharged or not. Then quite often lack of information on the invoice. So all those challenges are also eliminated by way of this kind of an integration and release of invoice through the e-invoicing system. So these are a couple of, I think, benefits, and it also leads to a lot of reconciliation hassles which were there before this gets implemented. I think those are also eased out significantly, and it should be a welcome step from industry, basically. That, but yes, all that needs to be done is a given thing, but I think there needs industry need to be given sufficient time to integrate all these changes with as we move forward. And as I mentioned, that the entire ecosystem has to be aligned. It is not just that somebody who can do it and somebody who cannot do it kind of a situation. So thereby, I think time is the essence, and government should give at least 5 to 6 months time to implement these kind of integration changes and transformation changes. And once this window is there, the organizations and businesses can plan them well, and they can do a seamless integration with the government portals and ensure that it works smoothly.
Sure, Sanjay. Thank you. I think very validly put. The industry needs that time, and this is such a large change. And you rightly, mentioned the advantages of having an invoicing system will definitely benefit the industry, the administration, as well as the government. So all stakeholders probably would welcome this move. However, the changes and the technology upgradations are something which have to be given time. There has to be appropriate time to test it. And in the real-time environment, once that happens, and since it has been made live in the middle of the year, definitely that poses a challenge, especially at the time we are in currently, where we are not able to really transact, and businesses are focusing more on survival strategies or tax mitigation opportunities in terms of the overall cost, etc. So yes, there are two thoughts behind such a large change, which automatically means that give it more time to be better compliant, give it more time for people to be ready for it and have successfully implemented and tested it. However, with the phased manner of giving this this thought, the government thought that let us first look at it from a larger SSE base where 500 crore and above are people who are more ready. These are large organized players who can actually start implementing this solution or this requirement or a change first. So what do you think? Is that a good move that there should be a phased implementation, that first only those people will be required to issue invoices, and there'll be combination of people you'll be dealing with where some of them will not be covered by invoicing and others will be covered by invoicing? So what do you think that could be an impact for you as an industry? How you could see it as a challenge, or you think that could be manageable?
I think no. I think a seamless implementation or a one-time implementation would have been a better choice. Given that at this point in time, you are saying that it's applicable only on B2B transactions, and then businesses which are doing parallelly both B2B and B2C, then how do they manage both? One on IRP and the other on GSTN, and then doing the reconciliation of those differences, and then leading to a lot of these complex management issues with the business. So these are a couple of things which I think would not be would create complexity for within the business environment. And at the same time, I think government should take a holistic approach of implementing in one shot, covering the entire value chain, because half of the value chain is covered within the scope of e-invoicing system, and half of the population is left outside. I think this creates disparity and very difficult to manage both ends. Like I can give one example where, if you are receiving from a supplier who's not on this e-invoicing, and what do? You have no mechanism to really now track those invoices in the system by virtue of that it's a supplier who is not on e-invoice. Then validation with your system becomes difficult. So second thing is that even if you have received from a e-invoice supplier, then how do you really there is no mechanism by virtue of which you can see that how to track those invoicing or their IRN number or QR code in your system. Do you need to maintain a repository or in your ERP system? Then if yes, then you have to upgrade your ERPs to manage that storage of that input invoices with those IRN numbers and the QR codes. So these are a couple of things which still need to be looked into. And like, one more, situation which industry may face is how do you handle the multi-user account? And because in one organization, there are multiple divisions, and there could be multiple functions who would be involved in doing invoicing. Then multi-user facility should be enabled so that at the same time, multi-users of the same legal entity can register themselves and start the process of working on those ERPs.
Sure, Sanjay, I think a valid point because this has an impact, which is a practical challenge as well as a compliance issue, that some of the information will ultimately flow from the GSTR 2A, where the input reconciliation will happen the same way as you're doing today, and some of the information will get auto-populated because the invoice was uploaded directly, and that information got uploaded on a valid basis and was not needing any testing or any reconciliation. So for a buyer who is dealing with people who are covered by invoicing and not covered by invoicing, obviously this will become a challenge from a reconciliation standpoint, which will continue till the time the other players or the assessees are also been made part of this ecosystem. And if that takes time, then they will have to live with this practical aspect and again continue to manage some part of this compliance manually or through other sort of tools to manage reconciliation of those invoices. And on the other side, like you mentioned, for a supplier as well, hosting information which is applicable on the invoice to to people who are not covered by invoice and to people who are covered. For them, it might be a standardized process once they are covered, but for B2B to B2C also will obviously require both requirements to be done. One at the internal level for QR code creation for B2C, and for others it will be B2B, B2C, B2B, where both the things will happen on the portal. So yes, there could be practical issues which are which will be felt probably, and anything new which comes probably has a lot of resistance unless it is implemented uniformly. And that's the reason earlier also when GST was introduced, I think they wanted to while it was introduced, it's in the middle of that year, but I think what also needs to be seen is the government's side looking at the kind of tax evasion, the kind of transparency the system requires, and they've not been able to probably achieve it. It is also a challenge for them to ensure that they can maximize this compliance and a reporting of transactions in a very, very transparent manner and a compliant manner, so that they can also cough up the revenues which actually they've been which have not been able to achieve that mark with the way GST since the time GST has been implemented. So I think it's basically a double whammy in which both sides of the coin
that's right. This creates a lot of pressure on the industry, and the timing is not right. As you rightly mentioned, that people are the industry is still trying to manage their operational issues, and at the same time bringing this kind of a complexity. I think the 1st April would have been the right day from when this should have been initiated of the next financial year. And by this time, industry would have got significant window to really analyze the schema which they have released, where it is going to impact the system, and how they need to manage all of this stuff. I think would have been the better way of implementation.
Or probably again continue to be voluntary for some more time for the assessees who are above 500 crores, and probably implemented uniformly at on maybe the beginning of the next financial year, when all of the ecosystem will be part of the same mechanism.
Correct.
Could be a thought which could have also crossed. But right. Yes, what we have today is information on the 1st October deadline, which the government is still trying to insist on and continue with. We still have about 21 days to kind of see what happens. So there are both sides of thoughts which are there from the industry, and we heard from you and very, very practically put. A last question for you. In your organization, when the implementation is going on, and such a large change for you as a large group where you have multiple businesses, and you mentioned that in your conversation earlier, what are the things you thought were relevant from a solution which was available to you in the market, and you saw the tool which we were presenting? So what are the things which you saw are unique, or you look out for when you look at a e-invoicing tool which your company or anybody should be implementing and looking at?
Yeah, when I think there are a host of solutions which are now, available in the market, and a lot of service providers who have developed this functionality. And the important aspect I would suggest is that we need to see that this entire value chain of e-invoicing system must be coherent, and it must cover each steps. And for example, that you are doing a B2B transaction, and then the process of all that is a repository is available in your e-invoicing system, so that at any point in time you're able to look back and track those documentation, and the trail repository is very important. And the second thing is that one needs to also look at is how are you managing the what I thought was typically when you create an invoice in the e-invoicing portal, and the transaction value chain which you are receiving from the supplier base to your end customer, how do you manage all of that? Also needs to be part of the system. I think the way you have configured this system, I think looks very comprehensive, and it brings all comfort of keeping the trail of the documentation.
Well, thanks, Sanjay. And I think that's what probably we thought, that at this stage, when we look at a solution and we've already seen what is available in the market, it also makes sense for it to become as exhaustive, as inclusive, and as easy to kind of use. And that's why we thought this solution is a plug and play and something which can be implemented even in a phase-wise manner. Had somebody to start, doing this invoicing on 1st of October, and the time is such that we don't have really so much time that our industry can be readily, able to integrate any platform into their systems. If they start thinking of doing that now, it's going to be only an uphill task. But
I think
very,
one of
very,
the
very
point,
validly put.
yeah, one of the point which I mention is the real-time integration. I think that is where I think the time is required for integrating the two systems, and how do we do it? I think that's really complex.
Sure. Thank you, Sanjay, and really,
Yeah.
really valuable your inputs from the industry side, from a technical standpoint, how you see this system and the benefits it will definitely have for all of the industry as well as the government, for all stakeholders. We believe that e-invoicing is a very, very positive change in the Digital India initiative which the government is running. It will bring us on a global platform and bring in the transparencies which the government has been looking at, with the honest taxpayers are looking at, as well as from an overall compliance standpoint, the ease and the openness for us to actually believe what is coming to your way is actually a correct, valid, and a legal document, which will ultimately have a uniform applicability for anybody to look at when they look at that invoice or look at that document. Nobody will have.
I think it's a way forward towards paperless transactions.
Absolutely,
so now,
absolutely.
That is the way I think government is moving towards. That going forward, I think the entire invoicing system will be paperless, and the vendor or customer systems will be talking, and you get the invoicing on a real-time basis. I think that is the future, and I think every organization need to start thinking of developing those technologies. As ultimately, whether it is for direct tax or indirect tax, the entire workflow is going to be integrated with the government system in very near future.
Surely. And I think that's the reason why this step is moving towards that direction, and government is very clear on that. And once you take this step, ultimately the complete digitalization of this platform will be the future of compliance, whether it's a GST or it's any other tax. And with that, probably is the start of that era where already we have reached certain automation. We are going to the next level, and ultimately we will achieve complete automation in compliance, which is what the government actually is clearly passing as a message.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sanjay, and thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for bringing me here. And the last point I would like to say is that, as you showed in the beginning, the global experience like Chile and South American countries and Europe, where you have shown that some countries introduced in 2004. So I think that is, we can always carry that experience and relate it here, and what were the challenges. I think those can be learned and made part of this particular implementation.
Sure. I think we are just in time, and thank you so much to you for joining us and sharing your valuable feedback. Thank you to Krishnan and Parikshit to have taken us through the demo, as well as discuss the key nuances and the features of the tool. We'll be happy to connect with you, and hope you had some valuable inputs which would help you in taking any decisions which you need to take right now, or understand this requirement a little better from here. And we thank you from on behalf of GT to be participating and being part of this session, and we'll be happy to connect with you. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your evening.